In September 1941, Nazi forces surrounded Leningrad, beginning an 872-day military siege. As supply lines collapsed, food rations dropped, until citizens were eating bread made of wooden sawdust. When that ran out, mass starvation took hold. Inside the barricaded Institute of Plant Industry, 50 botanists remained, with 120 tons of seeds, nuts, and roots. The collection was entirely edible. It sat in plain sight, offering more than enough calories to sustain every person in the building, yet not a single seed was eaten. By the end of the siege, at least 19 of these scientists had starved to death while guarding the food they refused to touch. To understand a choice that contradicts basic biology, we have to look at the global threat these seeds were meant to prevent, and the man who spent his life gathering them. Nikolai Vavilov was born in Moscow in 1887. In his youth, he saw cycles of drought and disease destroy Russian harvests, leading to regular, widespread famine. He spent decades building a solution. Between 1916 and 1940, Vavilov traveled to 64 countries, including Ethiopia, Peru, and Japan, to collect 250,000 distinct seed samples. This map shows the logic of his genetic insurance policy. If a specific crop variety was wiped out by a new pathogen, the vault would provide the raw genetic material needed to engineer a replacement and restart production. By 1933, his institute in Leningrad was the largest seed bank on Earth. His work earned him the Lenin Prize and a seat in the Soviet Academy of Sciences. Vavilov had built a global failsafe against famine. In Joseph Stalin's Soviet Union, however, the state valued rapid results over methodical research. An agronomist named Trofim Lysenko rose to power by promising Stalin agricultural miracles while dismissing the laws of genetics as fiction. Stalin chose Lysenko's promises. Vavilov refused to validate the state's preferred science. He told his colleagues, "We will go to the pyre, we will burn, but we will not retreat from our convictions." In 1940, the secret police arrested Vavilov. He was subjected to 1,700 hours of interrogation and eventually sentenced to prison. In 1943, the man who dedicated his life to ending famine died of hunger in a Saratov prison. The analytical framework identifies Vavilov's team as operating beyond standard excellence. By looking past the biological impulse to survive, they demonstrated a state where the self has thinned out enough to allow a larger truth to take precedence. The scientists navigated the instinct of self-preservation. In their view, individual survival became less real than the project they served. The framework identifies this as the continuous select-selected solution. It is the calculated choice to maintain the work at the expense of the worker. Because their focus had shifted from survival to the preservation of the collection, their physical death served as the final confirmation of a choice they had already made. The tragedy of the body followed the dissolution of the ego. Lysenko's celebrated methods eventually failed, triggering famines that killed millions, realizing the exact catastrophe Vavilov had worked to prevent. Yet the seeds survived. Today, 80% of the arable land in the former Soviet Union grows crops descended from the samples those botanists refused to eat. Conviction is humanity's most durable storage system. Vavilov didn't live to see the seeds sprout, but his life reached its logical end, the protection of the future through the deliberate